بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Brothers and sisters in Islam, if I were to ask you a question today, and that is, has anyone ever done the following transaction in your life? And the transaction is the following. Have you ever told your friend, "Oh, my friend, so and so, can you give me change for my £5 note?" You have £5 notes here, don't you? Yeah? Okay. Can you give me change for £5 notes? So he looks into his pocket and he says, "You know what, I only have a £2 coin. Can you just take the £2 and I'll give you the £3 later?" So he said, "Fine, let's do that." So you give him the £5 and he gives you the £2, right? And he goes his way and you go your way. Later on, only about a day or two later, he gives you the rest of the £3. Okay? Has anyone done this before? Has it happened to you? Can you just show me your hands, usually, who's done this before? It's happened to everyone, isn't it? And sometimes, even if it hasn't happened to you, you would do it, wouldn't you? Well, do you know that this transaction is something which is cursed in Islam, by the way? Because this is riba. And it's interesting to know why it's riba. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger explained that this is riba. Although we're not going to take you to court because it's riba, although we're not going to punish you in a very bad way because it's riba, but fiqh-wise this is riba. I'm only using a very, very simple common example to illustrate how people don't really know how they transact with money. And it may be confusing you. How is this riba? I'm only asking for change. How can change and giving change ever be riba? I will only explain at the end of the talk. You know why? So that you don't fall asleep. And you know why? So that you don't go off. Because you would hate to go off and not know the answer to this question, wouldn't you? So I'll only explain towards the end why this is riba. Is that okay? Or will you forgive me for that? Okay, this is my way of keeping people here doing boring financial talks, you know. Right. What this talk today, and that is about money, how you earn it and how you spend it. What this talk is not about the best job that you can have to earn more money. It is not about the best financial advice for you to invest your money so you can have more returns. It is not about which bank will give you more money, which investment will give you more money. It is not about that. Rather, it is about earning your money in a halal way and then thereafter spending it in a halal way. There is no one amongst us sitting here except that he has money. And there is no one sitting here except that he transacts in it every single day, whether buying or selling, whether earning it or whether spending it. And as a result, it is compulsory on us to know about the rulings of business transactions. It is compulsory. If you do not know about it and if you think, okay, whenever a course on business transactions comes up, that this is something only to be learned by financial people and by people involved in finance and banking, then this is a big mistake. A big mistake. Rather, there are so many day-to-day transactions of Islam that Rasulullah SAW allowed or prohibited that every single person amongst us needs to know. Do you know that buying a Mars bar could be riba and gambling? How? Well, I'll give you the answer at the end of the talk as well. That's two things. Please don't forget. Don't forget to remind me. How can buying a Mars bar be gambling? Yes, salam. On top of that, did you know sometimes even buying cereal can be gambling? That's amazing. How can buying cereal be gambling? I'll tell you wallahi, it's true. It can be gambling. I'm not joking, by the way. So don't say, okay, there's something, a joke behind this. No joke. Wallahi, it can be gambling. Yeah. Truth. Believe me. And sometimes buying anything can be gambling. You could be buying a cake, could be gambling, could be buying ice cream, it could be gambling. How do you know if you don't know when it is gambling, when it is not gambling? When it is just a buying transaction if you're buying food? And how do you know when it is gambling, which is cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is a major sin? How would you know if you didn't know the difference? Let me explain how it could be gambling, because I have to explain one of them inshallah before you get too angry at me. How can buying a Mazba be gambling? Well, buying a Mazba is gambling. Usually when you see in the Mazba, they say, you know, free prize, or 1 in 20 is a winner, right? Or, you know, inside it could be a promotion like 1,000 or £1,000,000 to one winner, for example. So you look at the Mazba and say, oh my God, £1,000,000, £1,000,000, or a trip to Australia. Yes, we want to go to Australia. This is how cold is it today? It's so cold. Come to Australia, the land of the beaches and the sun. 300 days in a year, it shines. I don't know what you're doing here. Naam. So you look at it, and it says a huge prize, vacation, trip for 2 to Makkah, whatever it is. They never say that, but you know, trip for 2 to Dubai. Okay? And you say, oh my God, I want a trip for 2 to Dubai. My wife has always been saying, I haven't taken her anywhere, so let me win it. So you buy it, you pay the 50 pence, and you get a Mazba, and there you have gambled. How? Because your intention was not the Mazba itself, it was to deal in that transaction, was it not so? To actually win the prize. But the prize is a lottery. You could win it, you couldn't win it, you might not win it. And you probably won't win it, because it's 1 in a million it will win, isn't it? And so your money was actually in order to get into the prize draw to win that prize, and as a result became gambling. Do we think about this? Do you know sometimes even sending SMSs can be gambling? And I was afraid when I saw that SMS, you know, vote Green Lane Mosque, win a prize, whatever it is, it could have been gambling. Now, no, by the way, I don't know if it is. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, but I'm saying it could be gambling. How? Have you seen on TV sometimes? I'm sure you're good people, you don't watch TV, but have you seen on TV sometimes, just for argument's sake, let's say you watch TV. Okay? On TV, have you seen sometimes how they say, SMS, you know, vote A if it's this, and vote B if it's that? And they'll charge you 50 pence or something for a text message, isn't it? And then you go into a draw, you could win, or you could not, you might not win, isn't it? Have you seen those, by the way? It happens quite frequently, isn't it? SMS this, and they'll charge you 50 pence. How much does it normally cost to send an SMS? What is it normal charge? 10 pence, 15 pence, right? So why are they charging 50 pence? Why? Because they're keeping that 30 pence or 35 pence, right? So therefore, this SMS is gambling. In fact, you've earned the sin of gambling. Why? Because now you've sent an SMS which you never ever thought was anything big, and with that you've gambled because your intention was to win the prize. Your intention was nothing else, to say hello, how are you? No, it wasn't that. It was to win the prize. And so by your intention, your action became haram. And your action became a forbidden thing. And if you won that prize, by the way, that money would have been earned in the haram way. And if you went to Hajj with that money, because you're happy, you want to thank Allah, you're going for Hajj, then your Hajj would not be acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pure and He accepts only the pure. How can He accept something which is impure? But how would you know if you didn't have knowledge? How would you know if you don't know about buying and selling? My friends, how easy is it to fall into haram regarding this matter? And how much we neglect this whole matter in ourselves. Whereas Umar radiallahu anhu, he made it very clear. Matters of buying and selling, every single person needs to know about it. Every single needs to know about it. Male or female, especially our sisters, please listen to this. Because every single lecture, sisters are, you know, come in great numbers, except for a business lecture. Why? Because they think business is only for men. But subhanAllah, men are the ones who spend it, who earn it, but you spend that money. You are the one who actually, not in a bad way by the way, not in a bad way, and you spend it because you have to buy food for your family and, you know, clothes for your family. So please, sisters, don't get angry at me. Okay, you're spending it. So you are dealing in a transaction. How do you know that you are not committing haram. And many a times you are committing haram. What's an example of people or sisters so easily they might do the haram? What? Well, they look at 2 cereal boxes. They have to buy cereal in the morning, isn't it? Morning cereal. Then they look at one of them says Kellogg's, right? The older version of Kellogg's cornflakes. This is 200 grams Kellogg's cornflakes here. This is for £2. And next to it, the man is stocking a new batch of Kellogg's cornflakes that had just come up, and it says over there, win a prize. Okay? Mystery flight to Canada, somewhere in Canada, whatever it is. And she says, well, £2. Why should I choose this one? Let me choose that one. I could win a prize. So she buys it. And with that, she gambles. But how would the sister know if she'd never even learnt about it? And she never ever bothered about learning about it. Subhanallah, how easy is it to fall into haram? If she won money with that, she went to Hajj, or she gave it in the cause of Allah, she built whatever she did with it, how would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ever accept something which is haram? Ya salam, what a great musibah. What a great musibah. Are you sure, my friends, that the money that is in your pocket right now has been earned in the halal way? Are you 100% sure after hearing these small things of how something could be haram? Think about this point. Something you're doing now could really be haram. How would you know if you did not learn about it? And it is for this reason why Umar radiallahu anhu, he said in the authentic narration from him, he said, he who does not know about the rulings of our business and trade, then let him not approach our markets. Let him go away. Let him not come and approach our markets. Why? Because the markets of Muslims, you have to know about halal haram. You have to know about riba. You have to know about gharar, which is uncertainty. You have to know about that which is halal, that which is haram. You have to know about the 10 transactions that are forbidden by consensus of the scholars. You have to know about those 2 that scholars have differences about. You have to know about riba in great detail. And if you don't know it, then do not approach our markets. Do not buy and sell, he's saying. Yet, subhanAllah, we don't know about business and trade, and yet we deal in business and trade every single day. And it is for this reason why are we ever surprised when we raise our hands to Allah, make dua to Allah, oh Allah, give me this, give me that, and Allah doesn't accept it? How can He accept it? Didn't you know the hadith of Rasulullah? How can Allah accept the dua when his food is haram, and his drink is haram, and his clothes are haram, and his money is haram? Why should Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your dua? And this is why, my friends, save yourselves. Save your dua. Learn about this matter, because you could be a righteous person trying to do righteousness, but Allah is cursing you right now. Why? Because you are at war with Him, you're dealing in riba, and you don't even know how you're dealing in riba. You could be doing something, and you're dealing in riba, or dealing in something haram, and you don't even know about it. Wallahi, it's a dangerous situation. Dangerous situation. All of these examples that I just gave you is an introduction to show you how important it is for us to learn about business and trade. How important it is for us to know about what is it that Rasulullah allowed us to do, and what is it that the Prophet ﷺ did not allow us to do. Regarding earning money, regarding doing business, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us in many things. Rasulullah ﷺ has told us in many authentic hadith from him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy upon the man, rahimallahu imri'in samhan idha ba'a samhan idha ishtara. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mercy upon the man who is forgiving when he buys and forgiving when he sells. And this hadith is the essential hadith that defines the etiquettes of buying and selling. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah has mercy on the man. So if Allah is having mercy, that means the person first of all must be doing that transaction in the correct manner. So therefore the first etiquette of a businessman is that he should know that which is halal and haram, so that Allah may have mercy upon him and bless his transaction. Then the Prophet ﷺ continued and he said, Samhan idha ba'a, samhan idha ishtara. Forgiving when he buys, forgiving when he sells. And this is the second principle. The first was to know about that which is halal and that which is haram. The second principle is to be forgiving in your business transactions. Because there are 3 principles upon which the prohibitions of Islam revolve around regarding business and trade. The first principle is that all of business is halal except that which is not halal. So every type of business is halal except that which is not halal. And let me illustrate how this principle is misunderstood by people by a practical example. Have you ever heard how some people say, okay, this particular business transaction that you're dealing in, for example, you might be dealing with a certain Islamic bank, or you might be dealing with a certain Islamic institution, or you might be dealing in a certain investment house, for example, and you're doing it, or you might be dealing with eBay or some multi-level marketing scheme, for example, somewhere or the other, and a person comes to you, brother, is that halal? So you say, yes, it's halal. And the other brother says, why is it halal? Give me the proof it's halal. Have you ever heard of that? Have you heard brothers say that, by the way? Yes. This is an example how the brother does not understand business. Why? Because he has asked you, how is it halal? That's wrong. You shouldn't ask in business, how is it halal? Rather, the onus of proof is upon the one who wants to make it haram. So no, you should reply back and say, no, don't be ignorant. All business is halal except that which is haram. So therefore you should rather come up to me and say, why is it haram? Show me why it's haram. Until you show that, it's halal. The asl it's halal until it's proven haram. Are we clear about this point? Do you understand how the first principle is misunderstood? The first principle is misunderstood by people, and this is an example how business is so misunderstood amongst people. That's the first thing. First principle. The second principle, around which all of business transactions revolve around, is the principle where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that transactions are made haram because of dhulm, because it entails dhulm, such as what? Riba entails dhulm. Why does riba entail dhulm? Because ultimately riba entails that people who are rich get richer and people who are poor get poorer. And such as, for example, buying and selling that which is unknown. Mystery bags. Has anyone gone to the shows? Do you have Eid festivals here, by the way? Okay, perhaps not very Islamic, but have you ever seen stalls where they sell mystery bags? Do you know what mystery bags are? You can, like, a bag for £5, right? They won't tell you what's inside the bag. Sometimes they always have they might have a placard saying, these are the things in the bag. But many a times they just have a mystery bag without telling you what's inside it, right? And you might have bought it for £5. That's haram. Why is it haram? Because in Islam you need to have clarity on exactly what was inside the bag. Otherwise the person could be making dhulm upon you. Just like, for example, I'll tell the brother in front of me, brother, I'll sell you for whatever's in my pocket for £5. What do you reckon? Say okay? Khalas. And I bring it out, air or sand or water. Khalas, give me £5. As an example, this is dhulm, isn't it? I've sold him nothing. So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited us against selling the unknown because there is dhulm here. And therefore, the second principle of Islam regarding that which is prohibited is Allah wants to prevent dhulm. Allah wants to prevent dhulm. And the third reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something haram in business is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prevent arguments. Because He dislikes arguments and debating. In Islam there is no debating. There is convincing and there is academic discussion, yes, but no debating about the religion. You don't debate about the religion, by the way, this is wrong. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prevent niza' or arguments. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to prevent arguments, He prevents certain transactions which will usually lead to arguments. Such as what? Can you give me an example? Bay' ala bay' akhik. Selling upon the sale of your brother. Or proposing upon the proposal of your brother. So if you know this brother has proposed to their sister, no, you don't go and propose to her at the same time as well. You don't. Why? Because what's going to happen then? You're going to have an argument, isn't it? Over a woman. Come on, as if there's not enough, there's not 3 billion women in this earth. Why argue? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want us to argue regarding this point. And in the same way, for example, If you were to allow an argument over a car, if Islam allowed you to buy upon the buying of your brother, you bought this car for £1,000, the brother says, no, I'll buy it for £2,000, that would create arguments, and that is why Islam would prohibit that as well. So that's an example of how Islam wants to prevent oppression, prevent arguments. So this is the third principle. That's all you need to know regarding the principles of business, or principles which apply in business. What are the three principles again? Please repeat. The first principle is everything's halal except that which is haram. Therefore, theoretically you could do something in any business transaction, you could bring out a new business transaction and it's halal until proven haram. Tayyib? Until proven haram. That's the first thing. What's the second principle? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something prohibited because of what? Because of prevent oppression. An example of preventing oppression is selling that which is unknown. Another example of dhulm, which happens in our communities all the time, is all you can eat. Have you thought of this? Uh-oh, everyone's attentive now. Alright now. Khalas. I think you are all deciding to go out and for food, and I might have dashed your hopes. Well, look at all you can eat. Is it dhulm or not? There is some dhulm. Why? Because you go in there and you're showing that you're a thin guy, right? But you eat like a horse. You go in there and you pay £5 and you end up eating 4 or 5 plates. Isn't it embarrassing, by the way? By the time you go second and third plate, you get embarrassed. You do, in your heart, as an example. Imagine you went the 4th and 5th time. Wouldn't you also get embarrassed? More and more embarrassed as you go, right? It's an example to show you that you, in your heart, you know that really you haven't clarified to this person how much food you're eating. And the guy probably thought, look, this guy's thin, man, he's going to eat only 2 plates. But you ended up eating 4 plates. Double the amount, so he lost his money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in Islam, you need to have the quantity clarified as well as the quality of the material qualified. Just like if someone were to say, if you touch my laptop, you have to buy it. That would be dhulm, isn't it? When you go to a shop, and I used to find this with the Yemeni traders in Medina. They couldn't be bothered getting something from the shelf. I said, I want to see that shoe. I said, listen, if I show it to you, then you have to buy it. Lazy. God, you speak of a laziness, unbelievable. Subhanallah. That would be lazy, isn't it? And so I used to say, brother, that's haram. Please take my tapes on the business, halal haram business. Please revise it. So this is an example of how, example of dhulm, right? And the third principle is what? Preventing conflicts. What's an example of preventing conflicts? Selling upon the sale of your brother. So these principles clarify to you what is halal, how to earn money in a halal way. Also earning money in a halal way, people fall into a couple of other traps. Such as what? People fall into the trap of begging, for example. Or into the trap of stealing. Or into the trap of evasion. Evading taxes, for example, or stealing money in that way. This is all unethical. Muslims will never get rich by evading tax. You will never get rich by evading tax. How can you ever get rich by evading tax? That mentality itself will cause you to earn less money. It's like, I've seen some brothers say, you know what, I don't want to earn more money. Why? Because if I earn more money, then I'm going to go into the next tax bracket in which I have to pay more tax, and I have to now start buying my medication. This is wrong, my friends. This is defeating yourselves. You're not excelling. You're not struggling. Imagine that if you actually went into that tax bracket, which would bring on more difficulty to you, wouldn't you strive harder to earn more money, do a business on the side or whatever it is, to earn more? That would be better for you ultimately. Or do you want to perpetually live on in that sorry state of earning less amount of money? This is an important point, by the way, that we must always remember. These are traps that people fall into. And these are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited. Stealing people's property in any way is wrong, even by way of copyright. And people these days, for example, don't understand the issue of copyright. Copyright is a valid law in Islam. Why? Because mal, wealth, in Islam is defined by the customs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not define and give an exact definition for what is wealth. Rather, He left the definition of wealth up to the people. So for example, the paper currency that we have with us, it is considered of value because we in our society consider it of value. Otherwise, have you ever seen anywhere about zakat on paper? Is there zakat on paper? No. Do you pay zakat on the printing paper, 500 reams of printing paper in your home? You don't. So therefore, there shouldn't be any zakat on your paper money in your pocket too. Reason why there's zakat on it is because we give it value. And because we give it value, then therefore, there's zakat on it. Are we clear about this? So therefore, if copyright, intellectual property, trademarks, software, all of these things, there is value in it, people do give it value, then you cannot steal it. If you cannot steal it, if there is value to it, then you cannot therefore buy it as well. Therefore, for Muslims to, for example, buy what do you call them, contraband, what do you call them, sorry, the counterfeit, that's it. Counterfeit clothes from China, for example, with a wrong brand name. For example, you know, Adidas, for example. And you're buying Adidas clothes, for whatever reason you like Adidas, but you're buying Adidas clothes and it's not original Adidas. And they have stolen that brand. Are you allowed to buy it Islamically? The answer is no. Are you allowed to sell it Islamically? The answer is no. Are you stealing here? The answer is yes. This is the ruling of Islam. Yes, salam. My friends, we really have to be clear about these things. Because we could be in haram. Imagine if you're actually wearing a contraband thing and you're actually praying. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept something when you're doing something wrong? So let's be clear. We need to learn about our business. We need to learn about business and trade. We need to be clear about these things. Otherwise we could be doing so much wrong and wallahi in deep trouble. Wallahi in deep trouble. Also, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam had told us that the righteous businessman, the one who buys and sells and is righteous, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will join him with the prophets on the day of judgment. And the hadith is authentic, it's in Muslim and others. It's a very amazing hadith. Why will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him the reward of the prophets or join him with the prophets? Not for any reason except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows how difficult it is to be truthful in business transactions. And because of it, He does not see any reward that is fitting other than the reward of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is such a tremendous reward. So realize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala realizes how difficult it is for you to be ethical, for you to be truthful. Understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala realizes this is difficult. But at the same time, He has actually compensated you and given you tremendous reward. Let me just mention those 10 things which I said every Muslim should remember. Those 10 transactions which are haram. What are those 10 transactions? I cannot go into detail. I will tell you of a way in which you can go into detail and study them a little bit later, inshallah. 10 transactions a person must know that they are haram. What are they? First of all, selling a debt for a debt is haram. Secondly, 2 contracts or 2 sales in one is haram. Thirdly, selling upon the sale of your brother is haram. Fourthly, the resident selling for the visitor is haram. Fifthly, selling impure and forbidden products is haram. Sixthly, selling during the time of the adhan is haram. What number are we on? 7? Sorry? 8? اختلف العلماء. Ulama have differences at the moment. 6 or 7, whatever it is. Next point. Selling the unknown or uncertain is haram. And the next point, riba is haram. And the next point, bay' al-'ayna is haram. And the next point, according to majority of the scholars, contract sales are haram. Or deposit payments are haram. Write down deposit payments are haram. So these are 10 things. What do they all mean? How will you know about it? Well, I hate to sound like a marketing, but I have a course this weekend that will explain all of them in great detail. Yes, that's why I came up with this lecture. Because ultimately it's a very important course. And we all need to learn about it. It's called The Real Deal, and you need to learn about business transactions. Because you saw how difficult it is, how little we have. When was the last time someone spoken about business from this platform here? Very, very few. Unfortunately, it's such a difficult thing. It's such an important thing, I'm sorry. Such an important thing, yet we have had less emphasis and little emphasis on it. Yet, although, you know, the haram and the halal in it is so widespread, we really need to take every opportunity to learn it. So this is, my friends, about earning the money. About spending the money in a halal way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to remember a number of points. The first point Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to remember is a verse that was, that was revealed in Mecca. And the verse, as Ibn Kathir rahimahullah says, that brought down this ruling was a verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. And in their wealth is a right well known for those who asked and the near ones. And this verse, as Ibn Kathir rahimahullah had said, that this verse was revealed in Mecca. So this verse laid down the foundation that before you spend your wealth in any way which you're allowed to do, then remember there are certain huquq, certain rights on this wealth that you must be careful about. What are these rights and duties upon us? The first right and duty that Rasulullah ﷺ told us about is about the fact that we need to learn who the money should be spent first for. And if I were to ask you a question, that if I were to give you an example that you are on a ship and the ship is sinking and there's a big storm. Imagine you're in this big storm, huge waves are battering the ship and you're sinking, and you get up on a plank. You're on a plank and there's only space for another person on the plank. And in the water are 3 people. Who would you save first? Who are the 3 people in the water? The first is your mother. Second is your wife. And the third is your son. Just to make it really fiqh, let's see your fiqh, you know how strong your fiqh is. Okay, who would you save first? Oh man, subhanAllah, your parents have really drilled it in you, haven't they? Allahu musta'an. Okay, you all said you'd save your mother, isn't it? I know for our brothers, you know, I had a friend from America who said I would save my wife first. So I was intrigued. I said, what? I would at least say your son, you know. But he said I'd save my wife first. I said, why? So he goes to me, well, it's clear to me. I said, okay, tell me why. Well, my mother, alhamdulillah, she's old already, so this is her death. And as for my wife, that if I save her, then I can have more children with her. So khalas, I can have more children with her, so I can let the child go. Amazing reasoning, isn't it? But this is important. Why is it important? Because if it wasn't regarding shipwreck, if it was regarding money, let's say your mother, your daughter, your wife and your child are all hungry, and you have a plate of food or only one morsel of food. You can only put it in one of their mouth. Whose would you choose? Your mother or your wife or your child? You can only put it in one person's mouth. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to, with this example, illustrate to you who is the most worthy of your wealth, isn't it? Who would you say? First of all, who says mom? Yes, salam. Parents have really had an effect on the people here. Or who says wife? Sisters, by the way, you know, all your husbands are saying they wouldn't look after you. And, you know, this is a witness. Please can you turn the camera around, get their pictures. Okay, who would say child? Only a few. The correct answer is the child in Islam. That's interesting. But what about Rasulullah's hadith when he said the most worthy of your time is your mother, then your mother, then your mother, then your father? What's going on? Interesting. It's interesting because we don't know about business and we don't know about money. What are the rights upon us regarding as far as money is concerned? Yes, as far as time is concerned, definitely it's a mom. But as far as money is concerned, then your family comes before anyone else. And the most destitute in your family comes before the less destitute in your family, according to the vast majority of the scholars of Islam. As a result, the most worthy of that one piece of bread, whatever it was, would be your child. Not your wife, not your mother. What if you had a second piece of bread? Let's see it now. What about if you had a second piece of bread? Who would you give it to now? Either your mom? No, you're not. Akhi, Allah says, Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum min. Save yourself from the fire, yakhi, not from dying. Yani. Although I can see how you're making an analogy there, but the point is, let's say you ate one, alhamdulillah, okay? You had one piece now to either save your mom or your wife. This will be interesting. When you guys go back home today, I think your wives are all going to be angry at you. Who would you give it to? Who says mom again now? Okay, who says wife? Vast majority now. Okay, yes, it'll be your wife. That's interesting, isn't it? Islamically, as far as your wealth is concerned, it will be the one who is directly under your responsibility as far as financial care is concerned. That is your wife. That's very interesting. Wallahi, very interesting. And we will take, inshallah, in the course why this is the case, why the principles are in that manner. It's such an important point I'm trying to make here, that we all have to learn about who is more worthy of our time, who is more worthy of our money, and who is more worthy of anything other than that, all the other types of things that we can give to others. Time, definitely mom. Then comes your father, then comes your family. So if I were to ask you a question, I have one holiday in all my holidays, for example, one weekend, and every day I'm working in the hospital, for example. My mom wants me, my dad wants me, my wife wants me. Who would you give it to? Aywa, in this case, the mom. Definitely. This is clear. Yeah, but as far as money is concerned, it has to be the child first, then comes the wife, meaning your immediate family that you're responsible over. Then comes the other extended family that you're responsible over, which is your parents and your brothers and sisters, etc. after that. This shows you how we need to really learn about where we have to spend, who is more worthy of our money. Also from the ones who have a right upon a property, other than our families, is the poor people. Muslims who do not have wealth and money, and they have a right upon our wealth. And what is that except zakat that I'm talking about? I'm talking about zakat here. So we need to know about the rulings of zakat. Ask yourself this question: do you know more than 2.5%? Do you know anything more about zakat other than this vague number of 2.5%? Most Muslims do not know much about zakat except 2.5%, isn't it? What do you know about zakat? 2.5%. But the whole point is 2.5% is not all that zakat is. Zakat is huge. Zakat is huge. In fact, not always is zakat 2.5%. Do you know sometimes zakat is 20%? Amazing. When is zakat 20%? Who can tell me when zakat is 20%? Sometimes zakat is 10%. Who can tell me when zakat is 10%? Sometimes zakat is 7.5%. Who can tell me when zakat is 7.5%? And sometimes zakat is 5%. Who can tell me when zakat is 5%? Alright, yallah, let's see. Who can tell me when zakat is 20%? You're close. Close. You're getting colder now. Yes, Akhi. Warmer, warmer, colder, colder. Meaning the first part is getting warm, the last part got cold. Anyone? Come on, let's give it a go. Yes, Akhi. What is this about crops going on, by the way? Isn't there anything else that comes out of the ground? Yes. Sorry? Fruits? Potato. I thought you were going to say potatoes. Sorry? What is gold? What is it? It's a mineral. Yes, so minerals and petroleum. That's 20% zakat. So everyone's probably thinking, oh my God, Saudi Arabia, 20% zakat. What is going on? Where's all that money? Ah, interesting. Aywa, it's our money. Yes. But that only applies if the community is not the owner of that money. So it only applies if a private person has found the wealth. Like the oil tycoons in Texas, for example. It applies in their situation. Not when the government, because the government represents the community, when they get the wealth out, then it means no purpose to actually get the zakat out, because then, they are the ones who are giving the zakat, helping the poor anyway. So it means, it doesn't mean anything to take zakat out of the income of the government. So bad luck, guys. Yani, Allahul Musta'an. And there's no money from the petroleum in Saudi Arabia. We have to go back to our hard work. Okay. When is it 10%? When is it 10%? What did you guys mention before it, by the way? Okay, what about you're convinced that there's gold under Green Lane Mosque. Okay? You've seen it. Someone came to you in a dream and said there's gold under Green Lane Mosque. Right? And you start digging. Right? And you start digging and you found some gold. So the Green Lane Mosque committee said, Khalas, it's ours. I'm just joking with everyone, okay? We have to, in business transactions, before it becomes boring, we have to be a little bit light-hearted, inshallah, so that it doesn't become boring, okay? So you found some gold underneath, and they took the gold away from you. Please don't make dua against them, they're going to use it for dawah. Okay, now how much zakat would be due on that gold? Come on, any hands? Yes. On the weight, yes. It will be 20% again, okay? So that's where the 20% originally came from. Rasulullah said, fir rikaz al-khumus. In anything underneath the ground is khumus, meaning 1/5, which is 20%, isn't it? 20%. So this is an example of how we don't know much about zakat except 2.5%. We always thought it's 2.5%. See, it's not 2.5%, is it? It's 20% here. Well, when is it 10%? When is it 10%? Anyone? Sorry? Oh my God. No, what is it that is on the ground? Crops. Okay, so normally crops is 10% if it is watered by the rains by itself. Okay? Without your own hard work. It is 10%. And when is it 5%? 5% when you are the one who's providing all the water. Like what? Like greenhouse. In a greenhouse, you are the one who has to provide all the water, right? You're the one who has to water for example, hydroponic tomatoes, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? You have them in this country? You have them? No? Do you know what I'm talking about, by the way? When you're watering your own crops, do you know what that means, right? Yes. So in that wealth, in that produce, it's 5%. When it's half-half, when it's half rain and half you providing the water, then that's 7.5%. So do you see how zakat is not only 2.5%, it can be 5%, 7.5%, 10%, 20%. Subhanallah, we really have to know a little bit more about zakat. Okay, let me tell you, when someone wants to know about zakat and the right of zakat on your wealth, you have to ask them 5 questions. When anyone needs to know anything about zakat, you have to tell them 5 things. What's the first thing you've got to tell them? The first thing is, who should pay zakat? The second thing is, upon what wealth? The third thing is, what amount? The fourth thing is, when to give it? The fifth thing is, who to give it to? 5 things. If you know these 5 things, you know about zakat, whatever you need to know. The first thing is, who should pay zakat? What's the answer? Anyone who has money that is above the nisab, right, should pay the zakat as long as he's a Muslim person. Full stop. Muslim, but you didn't say pubert. That's right, I didn't say pubert. Muslim, but you didn't say sane. That's right, I didn't say sane. That means, are you saying that even my child, my 2-year-old child that I've given her a gold necklace, my daughter that I bought her a gold necklace, she has to pay zakat? Answer is yes. That's interesting, isn't it? Because we forget that, don't we? Yes, salam, musibah. And are you also saying that in that bank that I've been putting money aside in order to send my kids to school as an investment for my little daughter, I have to pay zakat? And the answer is yes. That's interesting. And are you saying my mother, who has, for example, had dementia, now she's become insane a little, she has lost her mental capacity, for example, she has dementia, that she has to pay zakat? Answer is yes. Interesting. And are you also saying that this person who is in a coma, who has an accident, that we still have to take zakat from his wealth, even though he's in coma for 10 years? Answer is yes. That's very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting, because this is the ruling regarding who should pay the zakat. Let's go to the second point. Second point. The point is, upon what wealth? Well, livestock, that's not very important to know because you don't have livestock. Crops, that's not very important to know because you don't have crops. Minerals under the ground, that's not very important to know unless you want to get angry at the Muslim governments. But and what else is next? What about gold and silver? Yeah, that is very important to know. So how much on gold and silver? Well, that golden number, alhamdulillah, 2.5%. Okay? And anything that therefore is in the place of gold and silver, such as what? Such as the currency that you have. Pounds, dollars, etc., etc. 2.5%. Right? What about jewelry that sisters have? Yes, as well. How much? 2.5%. Interesting. What about diamonds? What about the big fat diamond that you said and you gave to your wife and said, you know, you are forever? Because diamonds are forever and so are you. Okay? Do you pay zakat on that diamond? Answer is no. But do you pay zakat on the gold ring upon which the diamond is studded on? Answer is yes. Interesting. Where is that coming from? Well, inshallah, there's a course called I hate to sound like I'm marketing, but the point is that we have to learn about our deen. There's just no way I can tell you all the answers in this just 1 hour. We really have to learn about this. Sorry? Oh, not yet, akhi. Well, we hope to in the future. Unfortunately, not yet. By the way, before the zakat course, I did come here and tell you guys to attend. You didn't listen to me, did you? But inshallah, we'll do it in Birmingham very soon, inshallah. Okay? No, actually, I'm sorry. I did come here and do it. Yeah, I did. But anyway, inshallah, in the future, I'll come back again and we'll do the zakat course again. Because it's so important for us to know, wallahi. Because we don't want to come on the Day of Judgment, as Rasulullah said, that the zakat that is due upon the person will be beaten out into plates of, or sheets of fire and then branded on his skin with it. We don't want to do that, do we? Wallahi, we don't want to come on the Day of Judgment and we have to carry our houses on our backs. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that anyone who hasn't paid the zakat on their property will come on the Day of Judgment with their property on their backs. How? You don't want to come on the Day of Judgment with that, my friends. Wallahi, you don't. So we need to learn about it. This is my point. This is the point I'm trying to make. We need to know how to spend our money. The next point is what amount? Well, we said 2.5%. What about incomes? What about our salaries? What do we pay? Answer again is 2.5%. How would we pay it? 3 different ways. The best way is at the end of the year, since you started taking the salary, remember, according to the Hijri year, okay, not the Christian calendar, according to the Hijri year. So everyone therefore needs to know when they started work according to the Hijri year. You'd wait till the end of the year and then look into your bank account, whatever money you had. If it's more than the nisab amount is only about 120 pounds or so in UK at the moment, then you pay the zakat upon that. Where do we get 120? We'll discuss it later on. We got that from the nisab of silver. Why are we discussing nisab of silver, not that of gold? Well, because we always choose the opinion that is most favorable for the fuqara, for the poor people. Because the principle in zakat is we choose every opinion whichever is favorable for the fuqara, because the asl regarding zakat is it is meant to be the right of the poor upon our wealth. Right? Beautiful, isn't it? Makes a lot of it makes a lot of sense. Alhamdulillah. Okay, when do we give it? Do we give it only in Ramadan? Answer is no. Why not? Because then the poor would remain poor throughout the year, except in Ramadan they would be rich. That is not from the principles of Islam. So you don't just wait for Ramadan and give your zakat. That's a very mistaken thing to do. So what would you do? Well, you would have to know when it is that you have your maximum number of wealth and then pay zakat at that point. Can you pay zakat beforehand? Answer is yes, you can. Okay, to whom would you give zakat to? Well, you give zakat to 8 types of people. Who are the 8 types? Can anyone tell me who the 8 types of people are quickly? The first is faqir. Second is miskeen. The third is amilina alayha, meaning the one that collects it and distributes it, meaning the zakat collectors. The fourth is mu'allafati qulubihim. Mu'allafati qulubihim means who? Mu'allafati qulubihim means those people who will accept Islam if you give them a gift from your zakat money. So it might be that you have a parent that is non-Muslim, and they might accept Islam if you give them a gift from zakat money. And also mu'allafati qulubihim also is another type of people, enemies of Islam. Those who, if you give them something from the zakat money, they will not harm you. They will not harm Islam. Well, that's interesting. You're giving zakat to enemies of Islam. Yes, because a part of zakat can be given to those people who will then prevent harm from Islam. Also, according to some mufassirin, the Muslims that are on the outer frontiers of Islam, such as in the West, in general can be given zakat, but this is a very strange opinion. Then we go for the next 4. Who are the next 4, by the way? وَفِي الرِّقَابِ, meaning the slave who is trying to come out of slavery. That's interesting. We don't have slaves in our time, but we have people who are similar to them, such as who? Prisoners. Interesting. So you can use zakat for prisoners? Answer is yes. For what regarding prisoners? Well, for their legal battles. And what else? Well, for buying them gifts, for buying them presents so they don't go insane, for buying them food, buying them, for you to travel to see them, for the fuel for that. Can you use the zakat? Answer is yes. Why? Because they are fir riqab. They are under slavery, and you can take them out of that through your zakat. What about bail? Answer is yes. But as long as these people have gone to prison not for a haram reason, not because they deserved it, but because of a non-haram reason, because of nothing, or under the pretext of so-called the terrorism things, although he's innocent. For example, you know he's innocent. For example, a scholar of Islam, he's put into prison, and you know he's innocent, for example. And in that case, can you put the bail from zakat money? Answer is yes. Who are the next 3? Sorry? وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَالْغَارِمِينَ. Well, who are the gharimin? Those who are in debt. So you can give zakat to those who are in debt in order for them to get out of debt. Which type of people in debt? Well, those people who have got into debt because of a halal reason, not a haram reason. So can you give zakat for someone to pay off his mortgage? Answer is no. Why? Because he's getting a mortgage for a haram reason. But if someone, for example, needed to have a heart transplant, he had no money, and the only thing was available was private way of doing it, can you give zakat to help him get out of that debt? Answer is yes. That's very interesting. And in fact, some of the scholars mentioned, well, we know that building mosques is not allowed from zakat money, but they mentioned that a person can get out of this by a simple way. How? Some of the Hanafi scholars, may Allah have mercy upon all the ulama of Islam, mentioned that you get a person and you say, give all your money away to the mosque. So he gives all his money away, then he becomes poor. When he becomes poor, then we can give him the zakat money. Anyone think it's wrong, by the way? Interesting way, isn't it? But look at the intelligence of the Hanafi scholars. This is right. Why are we saying it's right? Aren't we just stealing? Aren't we lying here? Well, it would be lying, except that building mosques is from the principles of Islam. It is from the maqsood of Sharia, from the goals of principle of Sharia is to build a mosque. And so ultimately, if you're trying to bypass that ruling by another halal transaction, which is also from the goals and purpose of Sharia, then that is a permissible hila, a permissible bypassing. Whereas an impermissible bypassing would be wherein the whole transaction, the goal of the transaction would be haram. So let me give you an example of this is an example of a permissible bypassing. Let me give you an example of an impermissible bypassing. Let's say our brother over here is a rich man. I'm poor, but I still want to buy a BMW. Okay? So I go to the brother and say, brother, can you lend me 10,000 pounds, please? I'm a miskin. I want to buy this BMW from here. The guy has a big smile on his face. And he says, just joking with you. And he says, okay, take 10,000 pounds and give me back 12,000. But you say, A'udhu Billah, brother, you attended the talk today. Don't you know this is riba? And the brother says, you're right. This is riba. Well, what about this? How about we get away from this riba by doing the following thing? How about I buy the car from the guy for 10,000 pounds and immediately sell it to you for 12,000, and you can pay me back in 1,000 per month installments. And we can call this ijara. We can call this mudaraba. We can call it musharaka. Any beautiful names, mashallah, isn't it? We call it what we like. Call it rent, my friends. Or call it whatever you want. And let's call it halal as well. Even better, let's call it 100% halal. Do you see how they have done this? Is it not essentially the same thing? Because essentially he has not held the car at all. He has made it obligatory that if he buys the car from the other person, that I have to buy it off him directly. So he is in no loss at all. So ultimately what has happened, the only thing is that the car is a scapegoat. Essentially what it is that he has given me 10,000 and I've given him back 12,000. How is this not riba? This is riba. So this would not be allowed, whereas that would be allowed. My friends, fiqh is wisdom. It is time to become wise about the religion. So wisen up, and it's time to gain knowledge about it, inshallah. So this is about who to give it to. This is about, what was it talking about, by the way, in the beginning? Debt, who are in debt. The seventh type of person who to give it to is in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is, of course, according to the majority of the scholars of Islam, in battle, warfare. But of course that is very, very rare, if at all possible. And therefore the only way that exists now is for those things which are similar to it. Different type of warfare, as Allah says in the Quran, وَجَاهِدْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. And fight with the Quran, the greater fight. Meaning what? Da'wah, isn't it? He's saying that da'wah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَجَاهِدْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. With the da'wah, with the Quran, fight a greater battle, meaning preach the Quran, and that is a greater battle. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He mentions the word jihad, meaning that even da'wah is jihad. This is why even talab al-ilm is jihad. This is why even preaching Islam is jihad. Therefore it is why, according to many of the scholars of Islam, such as the Lajna Da'ima of Saudi Arabia and other places, it is permissible to give zakat to da'wah organizations that are not for profit, for them to run. Why? Because they are defending Islam. They are the forefront of defending Islam, because this is the battle, the intellectual war, not the battle, the physical battle, which rarely exists at all. And for this I actually have an article that I've written, a research that I've done on this point of, is it permissible to give zakat to dawah organizations? It's in English, so you can read it, inshallah. If you go to my website, if you go to my profile, underneath it you will find the research. You can click on it, you will find that research article there, inshallah ta'ala. Fine. And the last person to give it to is the Ibn Sabil, the one who is traveling, the wayfarer. The last point, my friends, regarding spending money is to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want us to spend our money frivolously. He wants us, He's given us the money so that we may use the money, that which is for our needs. But He does not want us to be spendthrift, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, إِنَّ الْمُبَذِّرِينَ كَانُوا إِخْوَانَ الشَّيَاطِينَ وَكَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ لِرَبِّهِ كَفُورًا. Verily the ones who are spendthrifts are the brothers of shaitan. And shaitan was a disbeliever in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you don't want to be like the spendthrift. You want to be someone who doesn't spend too much. He only spends that which he absolutely needs. It is for this reason why we should always try to not spend too much money. It is also for this reason why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbade a woman who has a husband that is looking after her from spending too much of her money. In fact, he did not allow her to spend more than 1/3 of her money, as long as she has a husband who is looking after all her affairs. Why? Because she doesn't need to. The more money she spends, the more she becomes a spendthrift, which is not required. Of course, this is as long as she doesn't need to spend from her money. But if she needs to spend from her money because of a need that she has, then that's fine. No problem in that. Also, my friends, I encourage you with charity. And that charity means that you're leaving your money for the akhirah. And we know in the authentic narrations that on the Day of Judgment, in Jannah, there will be a day on the Friday in which there will be a market in Jannah. As Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah mentions in Nuniyah, that there will be a market held in Jannah. And in that market in Jannah will be all of these most amazing things for buying and selling. And when you go there, you will say, oh my friends, oh, telling the angels, I want to buy this amazing car or whatever this amazing thing that you have here for sale, but I have no money with me, because there is no transaction there, right? No money. So the angels will say, no, this is for you because you've already paid for it because of that deed that you did, and they will remind you of one deed in which you paid some money or you gave some charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he mentions in his Nuniyah, فَادْفَى مَهْرَهَا مَا دُمْتَ ذَا إِمْكَانِ. So pay her mahr. Oh my friends, pay the mahr of your wives in Jannah in this life whilst you are still able to. Meaning give charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is how you are paying the mahr for your families, for your wives in Jannah. And this is my advice on how you should spend money. Be from the ones who spend in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I hope with this small talk I have illustrated to you how little we know about money and how much of an impact it has on our lives. Wallahi, we are spending the vast majority of our time every single day around money. We are earning, we are struggling the whole day, 9 to 5, earning it. And then we spend from 5 to 10 spending it. And we don't know anything about this? How can that be possible, wallahi? That cannot be. A Muslim must learn before he jumps. He must look before he walks, lest he falls into the same hole twice. So beware of these problems, learn about it, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may save us from the fire and may save us from those things which are haram. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I urge you to attend this lecture that I have. The reason why I wanted to tell you about attending is because I'm not doing this anytime soon. And I don't come here that frequently. I might come here once or twice or thrice in a year. I might do a course here, I might do another course, and I have more than 40 courses. More than 40, and we're almost up to 50 courses now that we can do, inshallah, for Al-Kawthar. And this is just one of the courses, one out of the 50. And this is the one where we answer all these questions, except the zakat questions, of course, all the business questions. So please try and attend it for your sake, so you can clarify in your mind all these questions, so we don't have problems with it. Sisters, this is a advice for you as well. Please do not consider this is advice only for your husbands.